This is firefighter Dana Hilton from FireSafetyEducator.com, and we're at the National Fire Academy in Emmitsburg, Maryland, visiting with leading fire and life safety experts. We visited with Jim Crawford, Project Manager of Vision 2020, and asked him to give us an update.
I'm Jim Crawford, Fire Marshal from Vancouver, Washington, and Project Manager for Vision 2020. I just wanted to give everyone a quick update on the progress of Vision 2020 since we had our forum in Washington, D.C. last March and April. Most people may know that about 170 people came together in Washington, D.C. to formulate strategies for where prevention efforts should be going nationally in the U.S. We're very careful to say there's been a lot of progress that's been made up to this point. It's really a matter of how could we collaborate on the steps that we feel are still remaining that would give more progress for prevention efforts nationally. Really means this: we know that the human race is capable of more. They're doing it in other industrialized nations around the world. We'd like to try and do something more in the United States, and we do that collaboratively. We develop 5 different strategy areas, and groups are forming around those strategies to refine the planning, identify budget proposals, specific budget proposals for those strategies, and to move the planning forward into action. So let me give you some examples. Strategy 1 was about advocacy for fire prevention. That is not a new topic at all. It's been said before, but it is an effort that's going to require continued emphasis. What does that mean? It means that we need to continue to advocate for the value of fire prevention in our society. U.S. still has one of the worst fire loss records of any industrialized nation in the world. We need to be able to articulate our efforts in terms of fire losses, not just deaths, but fire losses and the economic impact to the gross domestic product, for example, in order to get decision makers' attention for proper support for prevention programs. That's strategy 1. The ICHE's Fire and Life Safety section is the group that has taken the lead on that and is beginning planning on how we would turn budget fire data information, some how-to templates into some specific actions that get prevention before decision makers at the national, regional, state, and local level. Strategy 2 is a national public education / social marketing campaign. The group that's formed around that, myself, Dr. Mick Ballesteros from Center for Disease Control, Mary Kay Oppie from the Home Safety Council, Dr. Angela Michelide from the Home Safety Council, Paul Schwartzman from the NFPA Public Education section are a group of core folks who have come together, made contact with some other organizations who have had experience with social marketing campaigns internationally, and are developing specific grant proposals to fund the beginning of a national public education campaign that has a coalescing theme for fire prevention efforts, something similar to what we have seen for Only You Can Prevent Forest Fires, or we like to say that the National Fallen Firefighters is a good model for us to follow. Everyone goes home. Some kind of a cohesive fire prevention thing that we could all get behind, with specific emphasis on smoke alarms. It's not to take away from fire sprinkler systems. We know that that push is still out there, and it's definitely not to take away from public education efforts that prevent the fire from occurring in the first place. So that's strategy 2. Strategy 3 is about elevating the level of importance for fire prevention within the fire service. That's also not new, but Bill Kehoe of the Institution of Fire Engineers has taken point on that particular strategy, has already arranged a meeting and a partnership with Chief Ron Sarnicki of the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation. They have a meeting set up for December 10th to start more specific planning, including action planning and budget needs for Strategy 3. Strategy 4 is being headed up by Dan Madrykowski from National Institute of Standards and Technology. He's convening, and I can't remember exactly when, but shortly, a national summit on technologies. Strategy 4, specific emphasis on kitchen safety, because they feel that that's one of the big problem areas. But there's some other elements that were identified in the planning process that they are going to include in their summit meeting, and I expect to see some either action with existing funds coming out of that, or again a specific grant proposal. And Strategy 5, which is about codes and standards, that's being led by Sean DeCrane, battalion chief from Cleveland, and a representative of the IAFF on the steering committee for Vision 2020. Strategy 5 is really all about let's come together and work on our priorities in the codes and standards making process. The most recent outstanding example of that is the effort that came together around fire sprinklers and the international codes, the International Residential Code. That mechanism is in place. We've been talking with them about adding some synergy to the efforts that are already there, and Sean is in the process of trying to develop more specific partnerships and action plans, and again, potentially a funding request. So to tie this all up in a bow, it means that there's a lot of things that are going on, taking advantage of existing resources, not intending to reinvent the wheel. There will be budget requests. Vision 2020 is not a large organization. In fact, it's not an organization. It's an ad hoc coalition, if you will, of people who are willing to work together and try and make progress together where we can. So we're pedaling. It's like the duck's feet below the surface, just paddling madly, although sometimes it appears calm on the surface. I hope that. Contact information. If you'd like more information, go to our webpage, www.strategicfire.org. You can reach me via email through that webpage. There's an email address in there.